Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and today we're going to go through my personal thoughts to rank, rate, and review every single roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. It's finally hit that time. We've reviewed a good chunk of the roller coasters at Knott's, actually more than half of them now. And it officially means that we've come to the point in these series where I will be giving a quick 1-minute review on each of the rides as I rank them 1 to 10, and of course give them individual ratings from a ski slope rating standpoint, meaning how experienced of a rider you should be for the ride, and of course my overall rating from 1 to 10. If you haven't seen the full reviews and you would like to check them out though, make sure to do so in the playlist linked above, and of course make sure to suggest down in the comments below what should be my punishment if I go over the 1-minute time limit I'm allotted to review each of these coasters. So without any more lollygagging, let's get into it. At number 10, probably not a shock to most people, is Timberline Twister, the kiddie coaster at the park located in Camp Snoopy. This ride personally is, I think, my first ever ridden roller coaster. I can't confirm or deny that entirely, but I do think it was at least one of the first 3 or 4 that I've ridden. Now, because of that, you might think I'm a little nostalgic towards the ride. Well, not really, as my only memories of this coaster were when I was a full-grown adult. This little kiddie coaster doesn't look that insane, but it does have some very jarring moments that can leave you walking away in a little bit of a funk. Of course, this is coming from the perspective of a full-size adult, but I would say it's a great fit, especially for the little kids in your group that have never been on a roller coaster ever before. Moving to number 9, though, we're going to go to the back of the park in the boardwalk section of the park for GhostRider, the mock Wild Mouse coaster at the park. This is one of many cloned layouts of the mock Wild Mouse model. While this ride may be placed at number 9 out of 10 on this list, there's nothing really too awful about it, with the exception of the restraints. There is this weird metal shin guard on these coaster cars that protrudes into your legs, especially if you're taller, and can bruise them quite easily. That being said, though, also the layout itself is not too exciting or thrilling in comparison to the rest of the coasters in the park. The first drop is a heck of a lot of fun, though, I will mention, but honestly the only reason that it's truthfully this low is just because everything at the park, at least in my mind, overshadows it quite easily. With that said, though, I would definitely say this is a beginner coaster for sure, and would be an easy step up from Timberline Twister, and out of 10 I would give it a 4. Moving on over to Fiesta Village now for number 8, this is Jaguar, the Zero Tivoli coaster at the park, built in the 90s and actually has honestly the best looking and themed queue in the entirety of Knott's. Once you get all the way up to the top of the station itself, though, you'll end up sitting down in what kind of feel like very small cars, and everything after that lift hill is a little bumpy, a little shaky, but at the same time it doesn't go too fast. A huge plus to this ride, though, is the fact that it has 2 lift hills and an extremely long layout, creating one of the longest experiences within the entirety of the park, and in my mind it's almost like a fun monorail ride, giving you a beautiful bird's eye view of a lot of that Fiesta Village section as well as the lake. Tying it all nice in a bow, though, I will say Jaguar to me is definitely another beginner coaster, another good step up from Timberline Twister for sure, and out of 10 I would give it a 5. Hopping over to the opposite end of the park now near Ghost Town is Pony Express. This is the first launch coaster on this list and the first of 2 flywheel launch coasters as well. Although this coaster has a little bit of an interesting twist as you sit down in your seating position like you're riding on top of a horse. This seating position can be a little uncomfortable for some guests at some points. For me personally, I've never really had too much of a problem though, but this Samperla Moto coaster brings you to a not so quick top speed pretty quickly for some nice graceful turns as well as dives dives, and even a cool tunnel section over Calico River Rapids. The only real problem I have with this ride is it is very, very short, but I do think it is still a beginner coaster for sure, although I would definitely recommend riding Jaguar and GhostRider before taking this on, and out of 10, I would give it a 6. Ooh boy, now it's time for some controversy. The next 3 options in this list, I actually debated quite heavily where I should put them all, and to be honest, this part of the list really depends on the day and how each ride is running or spinning. With that said though, let's head to number 6. This is Silver Bullet, the B&M inverted coaster at the park and arguably the most iconic ride at the park. This incredibly graceful and intense roller coaster puts you right underneath the track, leaving your feet dangling high above the lake at Knott. It features an incredible 6 inversions that take you through vertical loops, cobra rolls, zero-G rolls, and corkscrews as you traverse this layout that goes just above the pathways, as well as daring to go right over the water. I think overall Silver Bullet is a really good ride, and it's incredibly long. Sadly though, for me, this ride just doesn't have that oomph a lot of the time that some of the rides above it do. With that said though, it's still a really fun, enjoyable ride, and if you're looking for a short wait, usually this is one of the places to go. And of course, it's an amazing spot for future thrill seekers everywhere. Moving on to that rating system though, this is definitely a black diamond, meaning you should definitely be an experienced rider before taking on Silver Bullet, and I would argue that you should ride pretty much everything in the park with the exceptions of maybe HangTime and Xcelerator before taking on this 6 inversion beast. Hopping back over to Fiesta Village real quick, number 5 is Montezuma's Revenge, the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop coaster that has been plowing on for 45 years. This of course is the second of the flywheel launches at this park, at least at the current time, as it's undergoing crazy amounts of refurbishment within the next year, so it's going to be a completely different experience when it reopens in 2023. With that said though, we're ranking and rating that ride that we knew for 44 years, and it has an absolutely incredible launch portion to bring you up to 55 miles an hour, followed by a vertical loop that is forceful and gives you also some great hang time, followed immediately after by a near vertical spike before you plummet backwards through that same layout yet again. Then you add on another spike before hitting the station. Sure, it's incredibly quick in its duration with it being just above 30 seconds, but man, that time is just packed to the brim with a bunch of excitement, fun, and intensity. It is the most classic ride at the park easily, and I gotta admit, I have a little bit of a soft spot for it if you couldn't tell by my logo. With that said though, this is definitely another black diamond. You should be an experienced rider before taking this ride on, especially for the backwards property of it. And out of 10, this is an 8 for me. Hopping over to Camp Snoopy, believe it or not, for number 4, this is Sierra Sidewinder, the mock spinning coaster. This is the first thing I have to say about this roller coaster. This should not be in Camp Snoopy. It is crazily intense, especially for the area. When you see it right next door to Woodstock's Airmail, it's kind of confusing, especially for the little ones, thinking that they'll be about the same intensity level. Heck no. This ride is one of the most intense in the park because of that spinning nature, but also because it packs in some powerful positive G's that I know are always unexpected. The layout is tight and fun, and even goes through some nice theming work with a bunch of rocks, and of course that Sierra Nevada theme. And I will say, if your car is a little off balance, man, you are going to be spinning like crazy. I absolutely adore this ride, although the location is a little questionable. Wrapping that all up though, this is definitely a blue square to me. You should be an intermediate rider before taking this thing on. Obviously, it's not as intense as a Silver Bullet or maybe a Montezuma's Revenge, but it's definitely more intense than a GhostRider or Jaguar for sure. And out of 10, this is another 8. Making our way back to the boardwalk, not for the final time in this list, we're going to be heading to the newest roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm, one that I covered extensively during its construction progress, HangTime. This Gerstlauer infinity dive coaster has a top height of 150 feet and the steepest drop in all of California at 96 degrees. Add that in with some thrilling inversions, 5 to be exact, and some crazy forceful airtime moments. HangTime is a really great 45-second experience. That's without even mentioning the vertical lift hill, which is unlike anything you can find in California, as well as that holding brake up top, getting you to stop and look all the way down to the ground over 130 feet below for an extended period of time. Am I a little biased when it comes to this ride? Probably just a smidge, but HangTime is a modern classic and just so much fun. With all that said though, I would definitely say this is a black diamond at the park. You should definitely be an experienced rider before taking it on. And out of 10, this is another 8. Staying in the boardwalk for number 2. That's right, we're staying there. That means we're only going to one more ride, and that's Xcelerator. This Intamin Xcelerator coaster was the first of its kind, with its hydraulic launch system taking you from 0 to 82 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. It still to this day is the most powerful launch, at least on the West Coast, and personally has my favorite launch of all time. That's without mentioning the incredible top hat portion that takes you up 205 feet and gives you some gnarly airtime going up and down, and of course some crazy overbank turns that will be sure to make you gray out a little bit and get some blurry vision. While this ride is only 22 seconds long, it packs a heck of a punch, unlike most of the rides that you can find in California. And I can definitely recommend this to the extreme thrill seekers out there. This is the most intense ride at the park just for that launch alone, honestly. So with that said, this is the only double black diamond I will be giving on this list, meaning you should be a very experienced rider before taking it on. I would recommend riding every other coaster in the park before going over to Xcelerator, and especially Montezuma's Revenge prior. And out of 10, this gets a 9. Almost perfect. That means number 1 is in Ghost Town proper. This is GhostRider, the CCI and then converted to GCI wooden coaster that originally opened in 1998. This ride takes you through this mass of wooden structure with a multitude of airtime, laterals, and of course some cool positive forces. In addition to that though, this being a wooden coaster, most people would think it's very bumpy and shaky, but as a matter of fact, this is one of the smoothest wooden coasters out there. Sure, it has a little bit of bump, a little bit of shake, but it's nothing bone rattling. And to be honest, I always walk off of that ride going, man, that is so ridiculously smooth. In addition to that, the ride elements themselves are all drawn out and incredible, giving you some amazing floating airtime, just lifting you gently out of your seat before placing you down on a pillow full of feathers, and then giving you some sharp side-to-side lateral forces immediately after. This ride is also one of the longest in the park, at least in terms of coasters, of course, and gives one of the best night rides ever, where it feels like you're going 10 miles an hour quicker, with the only light you see being some orange lights scattered throughout the ride. I mean, heck, there is a reason that it is still my favorite traditional wooden coaster of all time. But I would definitely say be an experienced rider before taking this on, although I would recommend riding it before the likes of Silver Bullet and HangTime too. And out of 10, you could probably guess it, this is the only perfect 10 out of 10 at Knott's for me. But there you have it, my full ranking, rating, and review of all the coasters at Knott's Berry Farm from 1 to 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you would change the list to be. Is Silver Bullet your favorite perhaps? Or heck, do you think Sierra Sidewinder is too high? Let me know down in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. And of course, while you're down there, make sure to check out all those links, including my Instagram, the Discord, and of course, the Parks Bros pins if you really want to help support. Regardless though, I do appreciate you stopping in and watching this video. And if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe because we're going to have more of these videos very soon, as well as the beginning of our next park review series, which is going to be Silver Dollar City. So I hope you guys are very excited for that. I know I am. But with all that said, thank you again so much for watching. But until next time, we'll see you on the next ride.